What's up guys, Ghost here, and today I'm bringing you part 5 in my top 5 heroes to get you started in Overwatch. This time we're going back to offense and having a look at an exceptional anti-flanker by the name of McCree. McCree is undoubtedly one of the best short to mid-range interception heroes and wields one of the most powerful weapons in the game. He's simple to learn, yet hard to master. The primary fire of McCree's Peacekeeper will fire a single accurate shot every half a second, doing a maximum of 70 damage up to 18 meters away, dropping off to 35 damage at 30 meters and longer. Headshots will deal double damage. The secondary fire, Fan the Hammer, unloads the remaining rounds in the revolver within 1 second, but in a very inaccurate spray. Each shot fired in this fashion will do a maximum of 45 damage up to 18 meters, dropping off to 22.5 damage at 30 meters or more. The reload time is 1.5 seconds and you cannot headshot. McCree's combat roll ability sends him diving 6 meters in the direction he's moving, reloading his Peacekeeper at the same time. The cooldown for this ability is 8 seconds. And his second ability throws a flashbang grenade in an arc in front of him, dealing 25 damage and stunning opponents caught in its effect for 0.7 seconds. The cooldown for this one is 10 seconds. Finally, McCree's ultimate is Deadeye, a casted ability when McCree lines up a shot on all enemies within his line of sight. Damage stun increases by 100 health per second whilst lining up the shot, but McCree will move slowly and be very vulnerable whilst channeling Deadeye. So McCree is typically the character you want to stay around the objective with and watch out for flanking classes such as Tracer, Genji or Reaper. These classes like to get in close to your healers and tanks to do their damage, so when they do, make sure you have a trusty flashbang at the ready. A common combo whilst playing McCree is to flashbang a target, use Fan the Hammer, combat roll to reload while simultaneously throwing off your opponent's aim, and then Fan the Hammer again to mop up any remaining hit points they may have left. However, this isn't always the best course of action. Fan the Hammer actually used to do 70 damage per shot, the same amount as McCree's primary fire, but that has been nerfed down to 45. Then add in the fact that you can't headshot with it, and you're pretty likely to miss several shots due to its inaccuracy, and all of a sudden, Fan the Hammer isn't so effective anymore. It also takes a full second to cast this ability, and the flashbang stun only lasts for 0.7 seconds. So the technique I recommend using is to throw your flashbang and immediately go for a headshot on the enemy target. That will do 140 damage. So if you dealt 25 damage with the flashbang, this combo will outright kill a Tracer and stop her from recalling and healing up. It will leave Genji with only 35 health, making him an easy kill for Fan the Hammer once he's used his deflect, and it will take Reaper down to 85 hit points. Again, not too hard of a job for Fan the Hammer. On top of that, you will also save your combat roll for a later use. Now McCree's main weakness is his lack of mobility. He can't climb walls, he can't fly, and therefore he has difficulty taking the higher ground. He also has no way to heal himself, and getting to a med pack once damaged is a tiring experience, so for those reasons you should try and stay within range of your healer and protect him or her as well as your tanks and defense heroes. He also has a very distinct footstep sound from the spurs on his boots, so enemies will easily hear you plodding around the nearest corner. Now whilst you want to engage Tracer, Genji and Reaper, you mostly want to stay out of close range confrontations with heroes that have higher health pools, but specifically stay away from Roadhog, D.Va and Zarya, since you really don't have the DPS to take them out unless you have ridiculous aim. On the other hand, Reinhardt and Winston are just about soloable, and you can blind Reinhardt by throwing your flashbang over the top of his shield. Now for general mid-range shooting whenever you're not busy dealing with flankers, you should stick to using your primary fire the majority of the time, and this is where you can actually acquire a lot of skill with McCree. Try to aim for those important headshots, especially on easy to hit targets like Reinhardt, or light squishy targets like D.Va or Mercy. And speaking of Reinhardt, make sure you shoot his shield, like a lot. Shoot that thing all the time, and when you're not shooting it, shoot it some more. You really want to keep it worn down. On the other hand, if you have a Reinhardt on your team, try to stay behind his shield and work on the enemy team from safety. This can also be an effective tactic to stage a push on an objective. Now when going for headshots, I like to simply hold down the fire button rather than repeatedly firing each individual shot, and simply concentrate tracking your opponent's head. The Peacekeeper is a hit-scan weapon, meaning the projectiles have no travel time, and if your cursor is over your opponent's head when you pull a trigger, you will score a headshot. It's as simple as that. You also want to be on the lookout for enemy Pharahs flying around the place, because your primary fire is practically custom made to counter Pharah, and if she should cast Barrage, it is your primary focus to shoot her down ASAP before she kills too many people. Now, combat roll is predominantly used for reloading the Peacekeeper, and while it does give McCree a short burst of movement, it's nothing compared to that of a hero like Genji. However, just because it reloads your Peacekeeper doesn't mean you should only save it for that. If you find yourself in danger and are running for a health pack in the middle of a fight, or you need to get around that corner ASAP to avoid line of sight, use your combat roll to get there faster. And remember that you can combat roll left, right, backwards and diagonally, as well as forwards. Combat roll can even be used to traverse certain flanking routes if timed correctly. So finally, we come to McCree's ultimate. Deadeye can be used in a number of different ways. It can indeed be used to swing an entire push by the enemy and one-shot 3 people, but the higher up you get in skill, the less this occurs, especially considering the very iconic audio cue that accompanies this ability. My advice would be to avoid saving Deadeye for that perfect game-winning moment that may never come. Even if you only kill a single opponent with it, in my book that's a Deadeye well spent. Most of the time though, Deadeye is used as a denial of area ability to keep opponents off an objective at a critical time, similar to D.Va's self-destruct. However, if you do decide to go for those juicy kills, try to gain some height advantage or flank around the enemy team. It'll take them much longer to realise what's going on if you're in an unpredictable position. Just remember that you don't need to wait for a kill shot on every person in your line of sight before firing, and sometimes doing 80% damage to 2 heroes is better than 0 damage because you waited too long and got taken out. If the enemy spots you, don't get stubborn and wait it out, either cancel the ability and keep half of your ultimate charge, or just fire away and do whatever damage you can, then hope that your team can handle the rest. It's also worth noting that casting Deadeye only uses half of your ultimate charge, so if you cancel the ability, get taken out, or the ability runs its duration, you will keep the other 50%, allowing you to threaten the enemy team with it again much sooner. Deadeye is also very effective against a Pharah and Mercy combo flying through the air, since both have low health and very little cover to line of sight you. Also, if the opportunity presents itself, try to cast Deadeye from behind Reinhardt's shield or inside of Winston's bubble for extra protection. And conversely, bear in mind that your Deadeye shots will not pass through enemy barriers. Oh, and Genji can reflect it back at you too. Kind of embarrassing when that happens. A well-played McCree can fit into almost any team composition, and if the enemy team have a large number of flankers, I highly recommend him. He's pretty easy to pick up and play with, but the skill ceiling is definitely there with the Peacekeeper's primary fire. So give McCree a go guys, and try out some of these tips and let me know how you get on. So this was the final part of the top 5 starting heroes series, but I do plan on making guides for every hero eventually. So I'd like you guys to leave me your recommendations down below for which hero you'd like to see a guide on. If there's somebody you're having trouble with, or somebody you just really want to get into, let me know down in the comments. If you have any questions about the guide or recommendations, please leave those down below as well, and I'll get back to you guys whenever I have a little free time. If you enjoyed the video or found it useful, a thumbs up is always appreciated. Subscribe for more Overwatch tips and tricks, and I will see you guys next time.